I'm Matt.
I'm Shane.
And if you like what you hear, make sure you hit that thumbs up button real hard, and make sure you subscribe to Comic Movie Marks.
And also click that little bell for all of the notifications.
Whee!
Always remember,
if Trailer Trash can do it,
anyone can do it.
Hello and welcome everyone to another Comic Movie Marks video.
This episode, we are talking about the struggles of modern cinema with even a brief cameo from one Papa Doc.
Modern day cinema has a current struggle right now on how it's produced, what's being made, and what's widely shown to audience, what is successful. You see the progression in modern day cinema, and it's becoming a struggle now.
Yeah, you also see the difference between studios and their strategies to capitalize on the cinema and really get a stranglehold of the box office.
So then we look here at a Verge article talking about Disney produced an unprecedented 80% of the top box office hits this year. So when you look at the Disney box office, this kind of proves Martin Scorsese had a point.
This article is from December of 2019, referencing the box office from Disney in 2019. And at a brief glance, it discusses Captain Marvel, obviously Avengers Endgame, Spider-Man Far From Home, that was co-produced by Sony. And then even movies like Toy Story 4, Frozen 2, Aladdin, and The Lion King. Even though there were some remakes, they still contributed to the overall $10 billion in global revenue. They also included The Rise of Skywalker.
In the article, it says, the list reads like an algorithm spewed out movies people would pay $20 to watch. It also emphasizes Disney's decade-long strategy. Everything belongs to a franchise or is designed to potentially start a franchise.
The Verge article continues, Disney began the decade with two key purchases with Marvel Entertainment in 2009 and Lucasfilm in 2012. The combined more than $8 billion investment has exceedingly paid off for Disney. Marvel Studios has made more than $28 billion at the box office alone, while Star Wars is the centerpiece of Disney's future Disney Plus, which obviously has already released. The goal was to build out franchises Disney could consistently use and build worlds around. Each of the last 10 years is punctuated by Disney's dominance. 2018's box office saw success in Infinity War, Black Panther, and Incredibles 2, among other worldwide releases. The only years Disney didn't completely dominate the top 10 box office releases were between 2011 and 2013, just before any Star Wars films came out. And it was right as the MCU was finding its pace before Disney's live-action renaissance really took off. Something that Kevin Mayer, Disney's head of direct-to-consumer products, told The Verge, "We are not embarrassed by the fact that we have big blockbuster movies that people enjoy. If you look at the box office success, that's an indicator of how popular and how embraced these films are by real audiences."
They start putting those in around, say it's Thor, not using Thor as an example, it's any cartoon character, you put them in there, and you build your film with these moments around some central comic book or anything, and that's enough. You don't need a real concrete story. It doesn't have to make much sense, it doesn't have to be believable, it doesn't have to have meaning even, and your film will have the right effect on an audience. I call those theme park films, and there's a sad number, growing number of those in the industry, usually with the mega budgets attached to them, and what a shame.
So that's one aspect of modern day cinema and its struggle. Disney obviously controls a lot of the box office and inherently would control a lot of screens. Coming back to Martin Scorsese's point about they are theme park rides, but they're controlling all of cinema. They're not real cinema. They're more of theme parks. They're spectacles. But here he is trying to make a 3.5-hour gangster movie that theaters probably won't touch because it's not going to bring in enough revenue for them compared to a 2.5-hour superhero movie made by Marvel.
It's funny you mentioned this. That's the Marvel formula. If you look at Iron Man.
No.
Whoa. I'm talking about.
So that leads into another aspect of this, the actor. We kind of dug up an older video here. Some people might know him as Falcon or Anthony Mackie. We know him as Clarence.
And Clarence lives at home with both parents, and Clarence's parents have a real good marriage.
And he talks about the modern day struggles for actors.
Even though I used to not like Papa Doc for a couple reasons, he obviously tried to battle the greatest Eminem, and he shit all over Man of Steel in an interview with Collider. saying that when was the last good DC movie, and basically crapped all over it. I hated him from pretty much that point on, and his character in the MCU is useless for the most part. He actually brings up some very good points in this interview.
The business has changed interestingly. Going to the movies used to be an experience. It used to be a family affair. It used to be an event. Whereas now, you know, if people will go see movies just because they said it's going to be number one, and everybody know the movie's bad. You know, you'll read a review on Rotten Tomatoes and be like, oh, they gave it, you know, 75% tomatoes. It's fresh. I should go see it.
So Mackie talks about some of the Rotten Tomatoes reviews, and this is something that Matt and I had discussed several times. If you remember some of our Rotten Tomatoes rants and Rotten Tomato Rant Part 2, we also did Rotten Tomatoes versus Common Sense. We are very familiar with how Rotten Tomatoes works.
All I can say about that is irony, and that's exactly what I originally titled this in our file system. In fact, that was a heavy push by the marketing team when it came to Thor Ragnarok, was stating the fact that it was the highest rated MCU movie on Rotten Tomatoes. Saying that Rotten Tomatoes and the tomato meter isn't a factor is just naive. But he does bring up a point. Obviously, people sometimes care more about a tomato score than actual opinions, and that's always been an issue that we've had with Rotten Tomatoes.
The evolution of the business has gone to, like, there are no movie stars anymore. Like, Anthony Mackie isn't a movie star. The Falcon is a movie star.
His real name's Clarence.
And that's what's weird. It used to be with Tom Cruise and Will Smith and Stallone and Schwarzenegger. When you went to the movies, you went to go see the Stallone movie. You went to go see the Schwarzenegger movie. Now you go see X-Men. So the evolution of the superhero has meant the death of the movie star.
If it's a mission no man can survive, he's the man for the job. Arnold Schwarzenegger, command.
No man, no law, no war can stop him. Sylvester Stallone is back as Rambo, First Blood, Part 2.
So I really think this is the roots of where Anthony Mackie's opinion has swayed. He's probably starting to see that it's becoming a struggle. Unless you are someone like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, it is very hard to have a household name that can draw the box office. Mackie brought up Will Smith. You look at back in the day, he was putting out movies like Men in Black, Wild Wild West, Independence Day, even mine and Matt's favorites, Hitch. And now he's producing movies like After Earth and Gemini Man. And even though Aladdin did well in the box office, that's not necessarily why people went to see it. It wasn't necessarily for Will Smith.
This actually touched home for me quite a lot because back in my day,
Get off my lawn!
wrestlers and actors were the superheroes. Hulk Hogan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, they were our superheroes. We had superheroes in comic books. That was the extension of superheroes. People like Hulk Hogan and Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Chuck Norris, those were the ones that I remember as my heroes. What? That actually kind of leads a lot to what he's saying, but it also kind of comes around to the person. I don't know if it's our age or generation, but I know Shane and I will definitely go check something out depending on an actor. Shane and I went and watched the Mission Impossible because Henry Cavill was in it. I haven't watched the last couple of Mission Impossibles, but I watched this one because Henry Cavill was in it. I watched The Witcher. I have no clue about the games or books. I watched it because of Henry Cavill. I think I have an obsession with Henry Cavill. We'll go watch something depending on the actor a lot of the times, or hell, even the director, or even sometimes the composer. Because now I'm actually interested in the Sonic movie because Tom Hulkenberg and his score will be released on the same day that the movie is released. So now all of a sudden I've got an extra interest in the Sonic movie.
The fuck? Now I'm really gonna go see that movie. I was already gonna take my kids, but now it's on a whole nother level. I like it. Jim Carrey and Junkie XL.
Holy shit.
An article that came out in December of 2019 discussing actor Mena Massoud who played Aladdin in Disney's latest live action reboot, whatever you want to call it, of Aladdin, actually talks about some of his struggles with getting an audition. The name of the article from the Daily Beast is titled, "After Aladdin Made $1 billion, I Still Couldn't Get an Audition." Massoud was quoted in saying, "I'm kind of tired of staying quiet about it. I want people to know that it's not always dandelions and roses when you're doing something like Aladdin. He must have made millions. He must be getting all these offers. It's none of those things. I haven't had a single audition since Aladdin came out." It's wild to a lot of people. He says people have these ideas in their head. It's like I'm sitting here being like, okay, Aladdin just hit $1 billion. Can I at least get an audition? Like, I'm not expecting you to be like, here's Batman, but can I just get in the room? Like, can you just give me a chance? So it's not always what you think.
And that's the fear now, because you're now making movies for 16-year-olds and China. And that's it. You think of some of your favorite movies growing up, those movies wouldn't get made today. So it's a different time now. The business, they make movies for specific audiences as opposed to just making good movies. And that's why people stop going to the movies, because most of the movies suck.
Again, irony. He has a point, but I do think some of those movies are being remade today, but made for modern audiences, and that's why a lot of them fail.
I think he touched on an interesting point when he talks about making movies for 16-year-olds, and obviously China, we just discussed why the Doctor Strange 2 director could have had potential creative differences, and maybe it was China that somewhat influenced that. Matt and I had realized that with some of the Marvel movies, like Far From Good or whatever the hell we called it, that movie was not made for us. And when you look at some of the other movies that are coming out, such as Birds of Prey, that movie also doesn't look like it's made for us. So they are catering to a very specific audience that maybe isn't as mature and doesn't really look at movies the same way that we do.
I like how you just called us mature.
I use that term loosely, but they're going to spend their $15 or whatever, go on their first date to the movies, and they're going to enjoy this popcorn flick and think it's the greatest thing in the world. And that's what they have deemed is the way to make a successful movie and to crack the $1 billion mark.
I take my kids to the movies to see Avengers. It's $150. I'm like, I don't even want to see myself that much.
Neither do I.
Whereas I have a great sound system in my house with a great TV. I have my own popcorn maker. I got my own cabinet with my in it. You know what I'm saying? So I can sit here for $8 and watch this movie just like I'm in a movie theater, pause it, freshen and come right back to it. So why go to the movies? So it's the cycle, the evolution of not only filmmaking, but the education of the film going populace that has evolved.
This is when I really felt like, preach my brother. I hear you. $150 for the movies. Yes, bare minimum, it's $150 to take my fucking family to see Sonic. That's exactly what I'm expecting.
Now that Tom Holcomb.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go see it twice. But this is something that I've also discussed with some of my coworkers ad nauseum. It is the evolution of movies and how these movies that go from the cinema to DVD or Blu-ray or Redbox or whatever in a very short time. If you look at how movies are being released digitally, I think to get to a DVD, it's about 12 to 16 weeks. Back in my day, when it was VHS, it used to take 6 to 8 months. And something that Mackie touches on is, well, in a lot of cases, I would much rather just sit in the comfort of my home, not have to pay the ridiculous prices. I have a sweet sound system, a projector screen, and I can enjoy a movie without really spending an arm and a leg to take the whole family.
This is kind of an interesting thing, because this is something that was originally rumored about Disney Plus, was that Disney Plus would start making exclusive digital downloads when it came to some of their properties, and you can only get them on Disney Plus. But again, it's that kind of instant gratification. The cost of a visit to the theater. We're learning it fucking expensive when it comes to the movie mark budget. It's killing us. And we don't even go to that many movies.
Right. This is a perfect time to mention our Patreon.
So what extent will studios go to put butts in seats in the movie theater? What will they do to get people to watch their movies or buy their streaming service? Well, an article that recently came out, January 8th of 2020, says Warner Bros. Signs a deal for AI-driven film management system. This could possibly be the death of actual cinema. It's fun to joke about how Disney is destroying modern cinema, and in some sense, a lot of their impact on cinema is an issue. But when you start thinking about an AI system might dictate what actor is seen in a certain movie because it benefits a certain population, it's streamlined economics at this point. If you're a manager anywhere, I'm sure at some point you've had to read about streamlining, minimizing as much waste as possible when it comes to overhead and any other costs. You have an AI system that can provide you information for the best possible results about your movie.
In the article from The Hollywood Reporter, it does state while the platform won't necessarily predict what will be the next $1 billion surprise, like the Joker, it will reduce the amount of time executives spend on low-value, repetitive tasks, better dollar figure parameters for packaging, marketing, and distribution decisions, including release dates, all based on an algorithm.
The article says resistance is futile. Warner Bros. Has become the latest studio to publicly embrace artificial intelligence. The latest studio. Now, a lot of people are jumping on Warner Brothers about this, but the latest studio, meaning there's other studios that do this, and we've heard about Disney doing this for a while. As we've said with the Marvel movies, they're an algorithm. They are a formula. Article says the movie division has signed a deal with Synalytic to use the latter's AI division project management system that was launched last year. Under the new deal, Warner's will leverage the system's comprehensive data and predictive analytics to guide decision-making at the green light stage. The integrated online platform can assess the value of a star in any territory and how much the film is expected to make in theaters and on other ancillary streams.
Get ready, I'm about to butcher another word/name. The founder of Synalytic, Tobias Cuisinart. He says something in this article that I thought was very interesting when you really break it down. He stated the system can calculate in seconds what it used to take days to assess by a human when it comes to general film package evaluation or a star's worth. So you're looking at an algorithm that is going to tell you how much an individual star might be able to draw, what he or she is worth to the audience, and that's what they are going to utilize to potentially market and distribute their films.
He also says artificial intelligence sounds scary. But right now, an AI cannot make any creative decision, says Cuisinart. What it is good at is crunching numbers and breaking down huge data sheets and showing patterns that would not be visible to humans. But for creative decision making, you still need experience and gut instinct. So this is just kind of analysis of modern day cinema, the struggles. We have AI trying to generate whether or not a movie is going to be profitable in certain areas with certain actors. Actors and directors in billion-dollar movies aren't seen as valuable enough to keep aboard. The movie star, as Clarence said, is fading away. Brand recognition, that Marvel logo or that Disney logo or the Pixar logo, those are the things that draw butts and seats sometimes. Modern day cinema has a huge struggle ahead of it, and whether or not there's time to course correct or not, the only people that can dictate that is us and our pocketbook.
What year is it?
It really makes you wonder when you go to see these films and you realize that it's actually an AI that's saying, yeah, this is what you're going to like. Is that really what you want to invest your $150 in? Or should you be the one making the decision and say, no, this is the movie that I want to see because they're investing in characters and development and story and plot and the score, everything that goes along with the cinema experience? Or should a computer say, this is what we think you like, and this is what we're going to deliver to you, and guess what? It broke $1 billion, so we're just going to keep doing it.
So that ends this depressing episode about the future of cinema. We have a Patreon if you guys like what we're saying and you feel like supporting us and helping us with our necessary theater needs, because now we're going to see Sonic, apparently, because Tom Hulkenberg is a composer, because Shane wants to go now.
And shit, Jim Carrey too? Sign me up.
So if you want to help us out there, the Patreon link is in the description below. Anything that you can do to help us out, is much appreciated. We want to thank our 4 current patrons right now. You guys will be getting some awesome Comic Movie Mark coffee mugs or whiskey mugs or whatever the hell you want to put in these. I think they're pretty resilient for the most part. You know, China, we bitch about China, but they make a great coffee cup.
Yes, thank you to our Patreons. We really appreciate it. We know we haven't given a whole lot. We plan on...
Haven't given anything.
Fair enough. But thank you anyways. We haven't given anything. But thank you anyways. We really appreciate the support. A little bit goes a long way. And despite us not giving you anything, you still contribute to us two dumbasses. We really appreciate it.
And that's another encouragement for anybody to sign up for Patreon. We do eventually try to produce some things. We do eventually try to give some swag or some special things to our patrons. You're not just getting stuck with the content that you hear here on YouTube. We are doing our best to make things more appealing to be a patron of the Comic Movie Marks channel. In case I don't see you.
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.